Calling the Blue Poison Fan Club. Pick your favorite Blue Poison. You like the default, promoted, gym, or wedding dress? Well, this one is for you because it's Blue Poison Operator Showcase. Now, Blue Poison is a very easy to use Marksman Sniper. If you're someone who's new to the game and you don't have a lot of Marksman Sniper options, you own her, you're thinking whether or not to build her, she is going to be a very good first choice. So I'm just going to start out this stage by placing Phantom in order to bait the bombers over there, and I'll place my two Marksman Snipers. So you can see that with their bigger range compared to some of the other units, they're able to help me deal with the bombers that are on the back line over there. Now within this stage, I'm using Blue Poison Skill 1. So Blue Poison Skill 1 states that the next attack can hit an additional target for 200% of attack. So this is her at M3, and it's one of the fastest offensive recovery skills. So offensive recovery skills can maybe be at 3 SP, 4 or 5, but Blue Poison only has it at 2 SP when you M3 her. And that is crazy fast. If you're playing certain events or game modes like integrated strategies where there are good artifacts to pair together with Blue Poison, for instance, things that increases offensive recovery, things that will increase her ASPD, it will help to charge up her skill very quickly, allowing her to dish out a lot of damage to one single target, or if there's multiple within the zone, then she can be also attacking two at a time. Now, I'm pairing Blue Poison with Aketo within this stage because Aketo is one of the good units to pair together with Blue Poison, since she's able to restore a skill point to any sniper that have an offensive recovery skill. So that really assists Blue Poison in terms of keeping her skill to pop up as much as possible. Things for you to take note if you're loving the sniper runs. Let's take you to a different stage where we'll showcase Blue Poison's talent this time. So I have Edmund Halls who's able to one-shot these elite enemies that are spawning over here. So I'm just going to turn on his skill. And then he's able to one-shot them, kaboom, just like that. And you can see that Blue Poison has this green mist that she keeps shooting at the enemies. So this comes from her talent, which states that she's able to poison the target when attacking, dealing 85 arts damage to them per second, lasting for 3 seconds. So these little artifacts that spawn over here, they're not HP based, but rather they are from the number of hits that you deal to them. So when it comes to the single target dealers, dealing only one hit per time isn't the greatest, but when you're able to poison them, it really does help in order to eliminate them as much as possible. Now within the pass itself, there were other poison options that people may have gone for, with things like Taunts and Ethan, especially on that Ethan skill 1. And if you talk about today, we have even more poison options. Like for instance, we have Escalon now, Tin Man, Taunts Outer, and also Entelekia. But even so, Blue Poison is still a very viable option when it comes to trying to deal that DOT damage. And you can see, even alone, she's doing a pretty wonderful job. And if there are other enemies that would come into range, of course with a better setup, she is able to help to dish a good amount of damage onto them. Now let's take it up a notch and go to an even tougher stage. So for this one, I'm going to show you CWEX7. It's a lone trail stage. I'm going to start off by just placing Saria over here on the up button. So that will slow down the enemies, and I'm going to set up Weedy on the bottom lane because she's going to be very good at dealing with the sword enemies, using the mechanic of the event. Then I'm going to be placing Blue Poison. So for this stage, we'll be using Blue Poison skill 2, and I'll show you how it's going to be effective. So for these particular guys on the bottom lane itself, they take more damage when you push them. So that's what we're going to try to do. I'm going to be placing Respontis over there, and I'm going to be placing Weedy Cannon to just shift him away, as you can see. And then we're going to have a little bit of an Ebon Hall setup, so this will help to deal with the elite enemies very easily over here. Alright, so Blue Poison skill 2 states that her attack will increase. I have her at M1, so the increase is not the highest possible. So 30% at M1, and each attack will strike a primary target at additional time. So the singular target will have 2 attacks. And then for the others, they'll have a single attack. But all of them will still have that poison effect, as you can see. So we're putting the multi-target as well as the poison to use within this stage. So I'm using Ebon to just eliminate that little tower that you see over there. So one shot, it's gone. Now Blue Poison is going to help to basically damage this particular enemy you see here. Now for all the enemies that's within this little parade, as you can see, they will have lesser defense and resistance the more they are hit. So I'm using Blue Poison's damage over here to basically down their defense, and I'm also using Respontis Aftershocks in order to deal even more attack instances to lower their defense. So now you can see all the enemies are assembled over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on Blue Poison skill 2. So blue poison will be attacking 3 enemies at once, as you see, so really reducing their defense over time. And then I'm also going to use Rosmontis in order to stun them, so that they will be more held in place by blue poison. I'm going to be using Saria to slow them down, and blue poison is again reducing their defense with the poison, doing the multi-target damage. Rosmontis is assisting, and this is basically how I'm dealing with the barrage of enemies that are coming into play within this particular stage, which is just an amazing way to see being played. And then I'm just gonna have Ebon Halls to one-shot, and there you go, stage complete. Now if you're playing something like IS-3, which is a favorite place for me to be starting off with blue poison, she is going to help with the early enemies, especially with the fact that she can do multi-target damage. So in the case of a stage like this, blue poison is able to outrange the enemies by being far from the scuba divers themselves and being able to deal damage onto them while also killing the slugs that are coming in the way. This is an example of another IS-3 stage that blue poison will help you at. So because blue poison is able to target 2 people at a time, you can see how she's basically dealing an extra damage onto the enemy that's standing still here with her range, and then she's also able to deal damage to the smaller enemies that are coming in. So I can just do a little bit of setup, and I'm just going to place one more caster in. I will not place anybody else to simulate, you know, a starting squad. And just like that, this is basically enough damage to be dealt. If you were to upgrade your blue poison to E2 within the later floors, then what she can do is to help you with any of the drones that might be incoming. Or if you start having artifacts that will buff her attack, her ASPD, that's also going to be a big assistance since she's able to dish out so much damage quickly. So, if you want to be building blue poison, how should you do so? Now, if you're a new player, mid-game, looking for a very good Marksman Sniper, as mentioned, she is going to be a very easy one to build. You don't have to E2 her immediately. You know, save up on your resources in the early part, just E1 level 70 her. And then, of course, please give her skill rank 7. She will be very viable on her skill 1 even if you have no masteries. But if you want to main her, you want to be using her in a lot more stages and you E2 her, what I would suggest is to do a M3 on her skill 1. Again, it is a very rapid skill, only 2 SP once you M3 her with a great amount of damage and attacking 2 targets, which is nice. Then, you might want to consider giving M1 onto her skill 2. So there is a breakthrough where she's able to cast that additional time strike onto the primary target. So on all instances of a skill, she'll be hitting 3 people at once, but when you M1 her, there is an additional shot, which is a nice to have. Then, of course, if you want to M3 her, you're just getting more attack. It's not a bad thing, but the breakthrough is quite significant enough. If you want to, again, main her, you like that she's hitting 3 people at once, then go ahead and M3 her. Otherwise, yeah, that will be enough. When it comes to the module, you do not have to give her module 3. So, module 3 will just increase the poison damage. The attack buff on just level 1 is more than enough. You know, just getting 10 extra arts damage, 20 extra arts damage, I wouldn't suggest it. Again, if you really love blue poison, you know, I mean, this is not her wedding dress, but if you see it as a wedding dress and that's how much you love her, then yeah, go ahead and give her mod 3. It will just take you the same amount of resources as the other 5 stars. So I hope this has been an enjoyable showcase. I will see you guys in another one. Alright, bye.